to the podcast.
We are back.
We are back.
Yes.
It's been
Sorta.
It's been
halfway back.
physically back.
Physically back.
Mentally, maybe still floating on a raft.
Yes.
At least I would. Sometimes, most days, I would prefer to be sitting on a raft.
Mid graphic design, and all of a sudden you're back on a raft, drifting,
Yes.
mind drifting, sun, all that good stuff.
This summer, I found a new hack. It's probably not really that new, but we always bring to Catalina. We bring our blow up paddleboard.
Yeah.
And I would just take it out and attach the leash to like the little swimming where you're not allowed to swim past.
Okay.
So I couldn't drift, and I brought my Kindle out on the I just sit out there in the middle of the water and read a book.
Yes.
It's pretty much, you can't think of anything more perfect.
So you went pro and relaxing.
Yes.
Is what that amounts to. I love it.
Well, we are back from the summer. Summer is officially sort of over, even though the weather starts being summer.
Is it Labor Day? Is that what it is? Is that official end of summer or the? I don't think it's actually the date, but it's like kind of when everybody's like, oh yeah, summer's over. It's Labor Day.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like
back to work.
If you're not surrounded by the school calendar, then yes. But school starts so early now, so
That's
summer's
fair.
over. But I mean, when I lived in a place that actually had seasons, yes, like the community pool would close on Labor Day.
On Labor Day,
so it was Memorial Day would open, Labor Day would close. So that's how you knew summer.
That's probably why I think that way. Being growing up in the Midwest, that's 100% what happened.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we're back, even though now, yes, it is literally like the minute that the kids go back to school, the weather gets awesome. It's like perfect 75 degrees every day.
Sorry, folks, if it's humid where you're at, if you're looking at, well, fall's nice, but if you're looking towards winter now, it has been 75 degrees every day this week.
Yes.
It has been absolutely gorgeous on the Central Coast.
Yes.
And I'm not complaining.
Yep, and all the kids are back in school. They
Yes.
get to enjoy it. So we had summer. We took a little bit of a break because you and I both got away with our families and had some time. So, David, how was your summer? What was your favorite thing that you did? Maybe out of the ordinary, or a vacation or anything?
Yeah, I was processing it. So vacation for us, we tend to take our more, sorry, Mom and Dad, if you're listening, our more fun vacations happen at other times of the year in terms of like going places. Summer, because we've got family that, they're on vacation at the same time, we tend to go back to the Midwest. And so that's what we did. It was great seeing family, great hanging out. Got to see my nephew play baseball. He's a stud little baseball player, and that was a lot of fun. We were in Atlanta and Kentucky and Indiana and then Ohio, all within about 2-week period.
Wow.
And we were sleeping on couches and blow-up mattresses and all that fun stuff. But it was really good to see family. My wife, her family has a tradition of doing a family reunion, and there is tons of people at that reunion.
Yeah.
They have this quilt that is absolutely ginormous, and it has all the people who have been a part of the family down throughout the history, and each has a little spot.
Like of their face?
No, it's their name and either their birthday or when they joined the family because of marriage. And we don't X people out, because there are some people that probably should have been X'd out along the way. But it just shows kind of the history, our family tree, and it's pretty awesome. So the kids like to go find their patch and see, who are the other people around them. So yeah, it's pretty awesome.
And so every time it just keeps getting added to?
It keeps getting bigger. It's massive.
So who's at the center of the quilt?
So there's 16 siblings that all were a part of the original family.
This is Dana's grandparents' generation or Dana's siblings?
Dana's grandma.
So Dana's grandma is the original, or she's one of the 16?
She's the original. Yeah, she's one of the originals.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it gets so crazy that she's got siblings that are named Ansie, Tansy, and Pansy.
No.
Yes, 100%.
No.
Yes.
That can't be real.
Yes.
Ansie?
So, Tansy and Pansy.
Okay.
Yep. So
that would be really fun to yell out when you're trying to get them to come in for dinner. That's her grandma's siblings?
Yeah, so I actually, I believe Annelle, which is who Allison's named after, is Ansie, and then you got Pansy and Tansy.
Got it. So they're nicknames, not given names.
No, well, I don't know. All I know is that's a lot.
It is a lot,
but we play horseshoes. If you've never played horseshoes, you're missing out.
I've done it a couple times, but I'm not good at it at all.
And we play horseshoes. We eat fried peach, pies. I don't know. They're like these like folded, doughy, really goodness stuff. And so it's a lot of fun. Yeah, and then we just kind of hung out. But probably the thing that I enjoyed the most this summer was I golfed a lot with my sons.
Yeah?
They have gotten into golfing. They're getting better than me, for sure. And so I've got to start actually working at my craft again. But we golfed a lot. They love it, and it's something we can do. And I've also realized it's really expensive. So
Yeah,
golf is an expensive hobby.
that is very true. Kingston golfs with my dad every year in Catalina.
Yeah.
They go pretty much every morning
Nice.
golfing, the same golf
I
course.
bet he loves that. Yeah, he loves to drive the
He
golf
doesn't.
cart.
Kingston doesn't like. No, you do not get a golf cart.
Oh,
No,
wow.
there's
So you
no
gotta
golf
walk.
carts
All
involved.
right, well,
Lots of walking. But they got to see a Catalina Island fox this year when they were golfing. Which is
nice.
cool.
Very cool.
If you know the fauna and flora of Catalina Island, they have their own species of fox.
That's what I've heard.
Yeah.
I've never been. I need to go to Catalina.
You do need to go to Catalina and bring your blow up paddleboard and a
And
book.
yes. And my
Well,
Kindle.
the coolest thing we did this year. So we go to Catalina every single year. Talk about like family reunions. So like maybe I've shared this on the podcast before. I don't know, but like 60 something years ago, my grandparents and their like best friends and another couple decided like, hey, let's go on family vacation together with our little kids. And they went to Catalina, and it stuck for all the families pretty much. So there's like, I don't even know how many, probably close to 100 people that I'm like related to
Yeah.
that are on the island at the same time. So my family, which is the Pearson family, and we have now this is now like the fourth generation that's growing up there. And then the Franey family, most of them are still over in the valley, but everybody's kind of spread apart. But so we get to see them once a year, and they're like family. We get to catch up and have a couple conversations over ice cream, because that's what you do in Catalina. Every single night you eat ice cream.
Yeah.
And we were very mad this year because the prices went up like a lot.
Really?
Catalina is just,
Come on, Catalina.
get your act together. But the coolest thing that we did, we go snorkeling every year. Catalina has like really great snorkeling. There's like protected areas and lots of giant sea bass that are not very pretty, but tons of California state fish, which is the Garibaldi. So
There
if
you
you
go.
didn't know that, the Garibaldi is the California state fish. It's the bright orange fish. It looks like a goldfish.
Nice.
But this year, Kingston and we went snubaing. So
All right, so what's snubaing?
so snubaing is like, it's like an intro to scuba.
Okay.
So you don't have the tank on your back. You breathe through it, but you're attached to a tube that is floating up on the top of the surface of
So
the
you're
water.
like pretty far down.
Yeah,
then.
so you still learn how to we learned how to clear our ears, and we went down like 20 or 30 feet.
Wow.
And but you don't get to go very far because you have this circular radius that you can.
You were tethered a lot.
We were tethered.
Tethered to the little buoy or whatever.
Yes.
Tethered to this. All right.
Yes.
Yeah, gotcha.
Moral of the story is don't float away. Tether yourself to the rock that is
right.
the Lord.
Spiritual application.
There we go. And podcast over.
Yes.
There you go. So we went snubaing, which was new, and we both got the itch that was like, this is really cool. We want to get scuba certified.
Nice.
But it seems like it's even more so than golf, a very expensive hobby.
Oh, I imagine.
So I don't know if we're ready for that, and we've sort of looked into local places that you can, but
Yeah. So was it hard to clear your ears?
no, that was the part that I was scared about,
Yeah.
probably because when I was in junior high, I was really into reading like these thriller books,
Right.
these little scary books, and one of them was about somebody who got the bends from scuba
Oh,
diving
yeah.
and stuff, and part of it, and so I've just been kind of scared of it ever since. But
That's awesome.
but it was totally fine, and we were not like that. The person who was our instructor, which is really cool because it was just Kingston and I and her, and she pretty much fit every stereotype that you would ever think of somebody who would be a dive instructor.
Really?
Yes. She was like cool, like hippie, pink hair,
Yeah.
had lived on the island for, 30 years or something, and had traveled the world scuba diving in Bali and all the other
Yes.
places. So she
That's
was
fantastic.
Yeah, she fit all the stereotypes. She was fantastic. But I had asked her like, is this a possibility? And she was like, no, you're going to be fine. Come up slowly, but
Yeah.
don't. Yeah. So, and it was actually pretty easy. because you like pull on a rope to like lower yourself down,
Mm-hmm.
and every couple feet you can feel it. Like, oh, I got to clear my ears,
Okay.
and then you clear your ears and you just keep going. It was not hard.
But how do you do that when you like you have to hold your nose, or how does it? Is that how you clear? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know what the mask looks
Yeah,
like.
it's just like a normal snorkeling
okay.
mask.
So you
So,
still
it
have access
has
to your nose.
flexible on over your nose, so you just
Yeah.
like plug your nose and
All right,
blow out, I guess. Yeah.
I'm fascinated. Sorry,
Well, you have to try it.
someone's driving along right there. Why are we talking about this?
But it was really cool. You see pretty much all the same things that you
Yeah.
see when you're snorkeling, but you're a little closer. And we got to see, I found, so the Garibaldi, science
go.
lesson, everybody, today. The Garibaldi are these bright orange fish, but when they're juveniles, they have this, like, electric blue
Ooh.
on them, which I've seen before. But as I dove down in, like, more towards the rocks, I could see what was probably, like, a little Garibaldi nursery, because there was all these super tiny ones
Yeah.
that were like all like electric blue.
No way.
That's
cool.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Saw some starfish and some other
Very
things you don't
cool.
normally see. But yeah, that was my favorite thing that I did this summer.
That's awesome.
We also went on a cruise to Mexico. That was fun, but also we got diverted from a hurricane, which seemed like very much overly cautious.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
so we didn't.
But better than being caught in the hurricane. You know,
This is true. Kingston might disagree. He might have thought it was pretty awesome.
he was looking forward to it.
He was like, "Come on!"
epic. So
Yeah, lots of family time. But summer is, as we're going to talk, a little bit more about like the seasons that we're in. Summer is always just so crazy because it feels like in order to get away and do those types of things, we have to have really intense weeks of like main event week or main event
Right.
prep week and like all of these things that are like super condensed, like work, and then lay on a paddleboard and read a book for a week. There's like
Yeah.
nothing in between.
yeah, and for us, again, everybody's rhythm's a little bit different, but for us, we start off with a little, like, every month has its own intensity, right?
Mm-hmm.
Every month has its own thing that you're like, oh, this is getting ready to happen, and we're gearing up for it. And so you find these little pockets to get away, and then all of a sudden, before you know it, it's time to go back to school or for
Yeah.
the fall fall programming to start and classes start back up and Bible studies to start back up. And so there always feels like there's this like last getaway and then you come back and it's like drinking from a fire hose.
Yep.
And it can, I was mentioning to you earlier, like this particular season, like August, kind of second or third week into August through the first part of September feels like one of the most exhausting seasons that we go through, at least for me in ministry, because you're starting so many new things and there's something about starting something that takes a ton of energy.
Well, and I think it also is this season in particular, even through the holidays. Obviously, Christmas is probably the craziest season,
Yeah.
but not even for me personally in ministry. Like, it's not necessarily even Christmas, but it's like the lead up, which I
Right.
think is what it is right now. That's why August is so crazy, is because it's the lead up to all the things starting in the fall. Like, literally yesterday, I ordered Fall Fest things, and it's
Yeah.
August. So you have to like always be thinking ahead. You sometimes don't ever get to feel like you're in the moment that much, I guess. So it does feel like, yes, you come from laying on a raft, reading a book, to like, oh my gosh, women's Bible study starting next week, men's Bible,
Right.
like all the stuff that's like, okay, we got to put this out. And it seems like you're, at least for me, like my brain hasn't caught up to it yet, And
Yeah.
so there's certain things, like even last week when we had our production meeting and it was like, oh, the fall Fully Alive guys, that'll be this weekend. I was like, wait, what?
Yes.
It's like, okay, knock this out. That it just seems like your brain is not quite fully there yet. You're still trying to play catch up.
Right. And I talked to people from other kind of, vocations and stuff. You got teachers who are setting up their classrooms. You have people who are back in the office and they're trying to either catch up on a project or launch a new project. And it just feels like we're not the only ones who are experiencing this because,
Yeah.
and we're integrated beings. And so there's an element of this time of year, and again, maybe this is why I'm feeling it more than normal. Is our youngest daughter's going off to college, and you have this as an integrated being. You have the physical stress you're going through, you have the mental stress you're going through, you have the emotional stress you're
Yeah.
going through. If you're someone that's dropping off kiddos for the first time at kindergarten, or sending off your first child to college, or becoming empty nesters, or any number of things beyond that, there can be this integrated weight of exhaustion of the physical, the emotional, and the mental that are all happening at the same time. And then I'll add to it this. You go on these vacations and you do all these things, and then you've got school starting up. There's a financial stress too this time of year where I'm going.
Definitely. We just took a bunch of vacations, and it's like, okay, we're going to be eating ramen for.
That's right.
6
Yeah,
months.
exactly. And then you've got like, oh, but I need new school shoes, or I need this, and it's just there's a lot that's happening that I'm reminded none of it's bad. I mean, there are people who, as I'm watching them navigate even this, then they have this other thing that's happening that is not good.
Yeah.
But I think for a lot of people, they're feeling the exhaustion, and it's not because of necessarily bad things. It's because of a whole lot of really good things that have happened.
Yeah, I definitely attest to that. And even like the transition from summer to fall, sometimes I think is harder because summer and fall are like almost like, if you're listening, I'm like, I don't know how to say that. You're colliding. They're like antitheses of each other. Antitheses? That's the plural of that word. Yeah. But they are like anti each other, whereas summer is like supposed to be like relaxing and, no schedule. And fall is like the complete opposite of that. And so that transition is hard, especially because even like you talked about being an integrated being, like so much of summer, at least for me personally this year, was like no routine. It was a lot of ice cream and a lot of like all you can eat on the cruise, and very little, activity. Like we did lots of walking, but like actually working out and that kind of stuff. So it's like my body, my soul was filled, but my body was a little bit beat up.
I can relate to that because I'm very much, I'm a, 75-year-old in a 46-year-old body because I like to eat at like 5 o'clock or 5:30. Mm-hmm. And when we go on vacation, we're eating at 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock at night, and then we're having ice cream at 10. Yep. And that just doesn't
a lot of indigestion.
Yes.
So yeah, I feel like even like trying to come back from that, like being an integrated being, it's just felt like, I feel like lethargic because I've treated my soul well, and I've enjoyed it, and I've enjoyed life, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. I'm not saying that at all, but there is this sense of like, I'm not feeling my best self ready for all of the things that fall is coming because I enjoyed.
That's why Ecclesiastes says there's a season for celebration, but it shouldn't necessarily be a lifestyle because you just can't handle it, right?
Yeah.
It's just a lot. But so I was processing this, and I was thinking about all the really good things. I mean, again, when I think about what's coming up and what we have the opportunity to experience, there was a night of worship for our students, 700 students that gathered together and worshiped, and it was just awesome.
Yeah,
We've got
that's pretty cool.
Baptism. We're gonna have over 50 people baptized. We have tons of people coming out to start a new Bible study or to take their first step towards Jesus. People are beginning reading plans and any number of other things, and so there's so much good going on, and yet sometimes I get exhausted of the good things.
Yep.
And so I was just taken back to Galatians 6:9-10. It says, "Let us not become weary of doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. Therefore, as we have opportunity, let us do good to all people, especially to those who belong to the family of believers."
Yeah.
And, again, I think of, right now we see the need increase at the pantry. As people go back to school and as work happens and those types of things, and people are being stretched in different directions, we see all the things that are happening in our community. We see the movement of God, not only at New Life, but across the Central Coast and really across churches around the world where you get to read about it. And so there's so many really good things happening. And at the same time, you can step back and be like, but I'm exhausted. Like, I'm tired of doing really good things, right? Does that make sense?
No, it totally does. And especially because I think, especially for people who work in ministry, I know everybody probably has experiences as this and would probably maybe articulate it differently. But just from my own perspective, it is, you can, when ministry is your job, sometimes it gets that gets a little bit muddy when you're like, oh, I got to do this. I have a task list, like Katie Powell likes to add things to my task list.
Yes, she does.
And keeps me on track. It helps me out. I'm appreciative of her. But you get into this mindset and then you're like, oh, I'm stressed because I have all these things to do. And if you don't like step back and even like the night of worship at the high school this week is one of those moments when you get to step back and you're like, oh yeah, like this is like, not to sound cliche, but it's like, oh, remember your why. Yeah. But it is like you have to, in ministry, I think sometimes you have to be very intentional about that, because if you're not careful, it does just become another job. Like it does become like, oh, I have to make sure that women's ministry is on the website this week, and I have to design the bulletin, and I have to do all of these things. And then you have to, and especially in some of the things that I do, I get detached from like the results sometimes. And so I think you have to be very intentional about remembering that like this is for Jesus, and not just like in everything I do for Jesus, which yes, but in like, this is actually, God is using me in these mundane things or in these things that is causing me stress. And somehow supernaturally, I think when you have that shift in mindset, I think is when God gives you the gift of peace within the chaos of it.
And I think to that point, sometimes the good that we get exhausted doing, we turn into tasks. Mm-hmm. Like, and not just in ministry, but like, hey, if the goal is just to check off the task to get your kid from here to like the first day of school, you might actually miss all the really goodness that comes out of like that preparation. If you see, spending time with your grandkids or any number of things as just one more thing to check off your checkbox, then that's where I think it becomes exhausting rather than life-giving. And so trying to find that space where you recover and remind yourself, man, these are really good things that I get to be a part of. So how do I sustain energy? Is that what, that's what I started asking myself. Like, how do I sustain energy? How do I actually give myself to these things? And there's a couple of things that I just want to encourage people to think about. The first thing that came to my mind is that I have to do the things that I don't feel like I have time to do. And usually those are, I'm just being real with people, those are like things like exercise, spending quiet time with the Lord. Like it's very easy to go, I've got 15 things to do. The last thing in the world that I have time to do is to sit in silence and listen for what the Lord wants to do in my life today. Yeah. And yet, it's the most important thing for me to make sure that I carve out of my day. Yeah. Exercise becomes really important because it becomes that just natural physical, opposite to using my mental capacity, right? And so I need that to balance things out. And so sometimes the things that go by the wayside when we are doing a lot of really good things are the small things that we're like, oh, that's not that big of a deal, and it ends up being a really big deal.
Yeah, especially because I think the trap that I get into sometimes is like you go from one thing, like work, to home, to, you go from one thing and you're like, okay, I have this much time in between. And I get in the trap of like, well, I don't really have that much time, so I'm just going to like sit here for a minute. Right. And then the minute becomes like, the endless scroll that you're on, or the doom scroll. And it's like, if I had just set a timer or something and actually did something that was going to bring me life, like working out or going for a walk, or like, if I'm just going to sit there, I might as well sit there with my Bible, right? Yeah. And I think those types of things, I think are that those transitions, I have to like have that mindset that like, even though I think I don't, like you said, I don't have time for this, even the small amount of time, even if I have it, would be better spent doing something that's going to give me life rather than I'm just going to waste this time. Because that's literally what I'm doing. I'm like, I don't have that much time, so I'll just waste the time that I have. Right. Which is just actually really a dumb thing to do.
Yeah. No, and even Dana and I were talking about it because even planning, I become more like the more I plan, my leisure and or time to connect with Dana, and I think about it, the more I'm able to find those life-giving moments. And she and I were talking about it because part of the reason sometimes you can end up at home at the end of a long day or a season like this, and you turn on Netflix and you just simply binge watch something while you're sitting on the couch together, is because you have that decision fatigue and you're just mentally exhausted.
Yeah,
and
that's a good way to put it.
You don't want to make one more decision or think about it. But if you plan something, hey, tonight after work we're going to go to the beach. Then you don't come home and you have to decide what to do. You've already planned what you're going to do. And so that,
I
for
think
my
that
wife,
might
is
be
really,
the most David thing you've ever said.
Yeah, what plan?
You have to plan fun in order to make sure that you have fun.
But there is an aspect where your decision fatigue and your exhaustion will begin to dictate your choices at the end of the night or at the end of the day or on a weekend if you haven't really thought about it prior to that.
Yeah, that's where before summer I had gotten into a routine where I made like a whole sheet that I would put on our refrigerator that like, this is what we're eating for every meal, and this is like, these are the workouts that I'm doing this week. And it when I actually take the time to do that, it really makes a difference, because I've never thought about it that way, but it is the decision fatigue that is like, if I come home and I'm tired and I, have a snack, and then I'm like, well, if I don't really, I did, it's just like you can talk yourself out of and justify anything that it's like, and then you end up sitting there and like I said, wasting the time that you have. And so I know that it goes against my 7-ness, but I think sometimes I have to rein in that spontaneity in order to actually be a healthy Elena.
Yeah. The other hard thing about all of that and like what planning helps you do and even thinking through it is I've had to, over the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks, delete really good things. And I want to emphasize that. I've had to delete really good things that I wanted to do and make decisions not to do them. And I think those are sometimes the things that are really hard when you get in seasons like this. You start getting exhausted and you start having to prioritize not between good and bad, between like really good and really good, but I just can't do them both. Yeah. And I have to say no to something.
Yeah. That's a healthy thing to learn. I feel like that's one of those lessons that you learn like maybe 35 times.
Yes.
Maybe 35 times a year.
35 times a year.
Yeah. That you just are like, okay, like all of these things are good and I want to do all of these things. And all of these things, are, most of them, I guess, sometimes even are like kingdom things.
Right.
It's like, I'm doing this for the
People's
kingdom.
lives are being changed.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but the consequence of that is, burnout.
Right.
Or, having to do things having to say no to even better things because you said yes to something that was just good.
Yeah. And you might even say like, and I've seen this happen specifically in ministry, but I've seen it happen in other vocations as well. If you start doing too many really, really good things, you actually end up at some point sacrificing the most important things. And because you can always justify something's really, really good. But all of a sudden, the most important relationships are the ones where they begin to suffer, and your physical health begins to suffer, and you just can't always sustain it. So you have to find that way of navigating that. And I think, the final thing that I'll kind of just mention is that you can go through a really busy season like this, and we know that we have that. But that's where you have to remind yourself, this can only be a season. It can't be a lifestyle.
Yep.
And that's a really challenging thing, because it's really easy for a season to flow into the next, into the next, into the next. And then all of a sudden, your breakneck speed is a lifestyle, not simply a season. And so planning and kind of looking at the what that next season's going to look like, and looking for your 2 or 3 day break or things of that nature becomes really important, so that you don't just turn this into an ongoing lifestyle that is not sustainable.
Yeah. And one of my first ministry jobs, and I worked at a church down south and in youth ministry, and my pastor at the time, Kurt, he told this story about his family when he was growing up owned a Christmas tree lot.
Okay.
And so he would, like Christmas was always just, the lead up to Christmas was just so crazy. Everybody had to go to work at the tree lot after school, and you all like, this was just like, this is just what you did. Like this was, and he was like, it called it tree lot season.
Yeah.
And so he talked about in ministry, there are tree lot seasons, like there are these tree lot seasons where it's like, okay, it's all hands on deck. It's main event prep week. It is, this is going to be crazy. But tree lot season has to just be a season. You can't have it like just what you said. It's not sustainable. And so he was very intentional about making sure that like tree lot season comes to an end. And I think we do a pretty good job of that here at New Life too. I think we do you as boss do a pretty good job of like instilling in us the most important thing, and making sure that those things don't get forgotten in the craziness of tree lot season. And so each season, fall tree lot season sort of blends into Advent tree lot season.
Right.
But it is important, just like you said, to make sure you take those breaks and to take and do the things that you don't think you have time to do.
Yeah. Every now and then you've got to go back to Catalina and lay on the raft, and you have those day or two, even if it's a day or two, just to take a breath and allow yourself
Is there a swimming rope out in Avila?
Oh, I don't know. Dog Beach, maybe.
Dog Beach is a little
I'd be
much.
afraid of a shark.
A shark in Dog Beach?
Yeah, I don't know. Just the whole seals over there.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot of, yeah.
Yeah. You're not going there now after you just thought about it.
I've seen lots of otters.
Yes,
that was when I was
otters.
paddleboarding over there. I swear the otters pushed me off my paddleboard.
Yes. They're bullies.
They're so cute, though.
They are.
A little.
Yeah.
Sorry, you can't see me if you're listening to it.
Elena was just like on her back opening up a clam or something. I'm not sure.
That's exactly what I was doing. Thank you. Our charades worked.
Yes.
Anyway, we're so glad that you joined us. After a while, we'll be back. Maybe, I don't know. We're still in this season of trying to get back into the rhythm of things. So you're going to be dropping off kids at school?
Yeah, next week, dropping off kids at school. So excited. Excited and sad and all the emotions in between. But super excited for our youngest to be able to experience all that God has for her in a different space and different place. And super stoked for that. So yeah, probably about 2 weeks we'll get back into a normal rhythm.
Yep. So thanks for joining us, Fresh Cuppers. We love ya. We'll see you next time.